I got to admit that I did not see that one coming. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Was It Good? My name is Bob, and tonight I finally got to watch episode 7 of Shogun, A Stick of Time. And this is a show that has gotten better and better each and every week. I'm surprised it took me a few days to get to it, and as a result, I'm getting this review out a little late.
Better late than never.
Very true. Now, because the episode has been out for several days, I am going to get into several plot points. So if you haven't seen the episode and you don't want it to be spoiled, this is your warning to go ahead and go check it out first and then come back and watch this video. Now, if you have seen the episode, go ahead and let me know what you thought about it. Why don't you leave a comment in the comment section below? Now, just keep in mind, these are just my own opinions of the episode. And if you disagree with me, that's fine. All I ask is that when you leave a comment, let's not be disagreeable. Don't forget to hit that like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's get to the review. I thought the plot of this episode was excellent. I found it to be very enthralling throughout, and it seems to be continuing to build towards something big. Now, right off the bat, when the episode opens, we're introduced to Toranaga when he's just a boy, and we find out that he actually won his first victory at a very early age. And I thought that was very significant to learn about the character because we understand that he was battle hardened from a young age, and we see him put into some positions where he actually has to take the head of his adversary. And so, from a very early age, he understands about conflict much better than a lot of the other characters in the story. Also in the episode, we see Toranaga reach out for assistance from his half-brother because at the end of the last episode, Toranaga had decided to go through with an attack on Osaka, but he doesn't have the troops to get this done, mainly because of the earthquake that happened at the end of episode 5 that wiped out a big portion of his force. So he goes to his half-brother for assistance. Everything seems to be going well. Then all of a sudden, bam, it just, the boom gets lowered on him, as it turns out that the half brother has actually already taken a place on the Council of Regents, and he's only there to just deliver a message to Toranaga that he needs to return to Osaka to face consequences for treachery. Now, you would think that somebody as smart as Toranaga would see this one coming, but as I was watching it, I kept thinking, everything's going too well, but maybe everything's fine. So it even caught me a little bit off guard. I did think that was an interesting twist. While all of this is happening, there's a couple of other things that go on. The first thing is that Buntaro, he's obviously still very angry with Blackthorn because he suspects that there's something going on between Blackthorn and Mariko. And there's a scene where he actually gets his swords right at Blackthorn's neck, and it seems like he might kill him. And then later he goes and asks Toranaga for permission to kill Blackthorn because he's like, we're all going to die anyway. At least give me the chance to go ahead and kill him beforehand. Toranaga denies this, and of course, Buntaro has to go off and apologizing, saying, I'm sorry, that was petty of me to ask that. And then it even causes a scene where right after that, Toranaga is questioning Mariko, saying, hey, are you loyal to me or are you loyal to the barbarian? You need to make up your mind who you're loyal to. And I thought that was a pretty interesting scene because in that scene, it's revealed how much Mariko still wishes to end her life, that she wants to find some honor in her past as far as from her father. And so I thought that was an interesting scene. Also, there's this scene that happens where Jin, the owner of the tea house, comes to see Toranaga, and she's asked for a stick of his time. And in this moment where she's talking with him, she asks for some land in Edo to be given to her so she can have some tea houses there and kind of let her ladies kind of age with grace. And at first he says, no, it doesn't matter. I'm going to be dying, so I can't really do this. And what I found interesting was that she questions it, saying, are you really going to die? It seems like somebody with your knowledge and whatnot would have something up his sleeve, or well, that's basically what she says. And he's just like, well, what, you think that I just planned for all this to happen? She's like, oh, well, maybe it was my mistake. And she leaves. Well, then he turns around, and after he had already said no, that he wasn't going to give her the land, he ends up deciding to, which makes me wonder, does he have something up his sleeve? So I thought that was kind of interesting. Finally, Toranaga does decide to surrender, and in that scene where he's surrendering, Blackthorn isn't too happy with this. He gets up and he just walks out, kind of saying, you know what, you basically led everybody to their deaths. That's basically what he says. And so he ends up leaving. It causes a scene. And that ultimately leads to the most shocking scene of the entire episode, where Nagakato decides to take matters into his own hands yet again, and he decides that he's going to try to go and kill his uncle. So he shows up at the tea house where his uncle's at, and he attacks him, which I found kind of interesting because if this fails, wouldn't this be considered dishonorable? But anyway, he shows up there and he's going to try to kill him. And right as he's about to deliver the final blow, he ends up slipping on a rock, hitting his head, and he just dies right there in the rain, bleeding out. And it's such a wasteful way for the character to die. And when I say wasteful, not necessarily like in a storytelling way, but wasteful in that the character made this decision to do this, because all throughout the show, he had been wanting to be honorable to his family and live up to his father, and to die the way that he does, it really sucked. When it happened, it just caught me off guard. I was really surprised by this. Overall, I thought the plot of this episode was really good. The acting is once again top notch throughout this episode. This show continues to pride itself on great performances, and this episode was no different. I loved Lady Mariko, Anna Sawai. She's doing a great job in this role. I loved what she did in that scene where she's talking about how she wants to die because she feels pain from everything that's happened in her past. I just really felt for the character during that scene. But the performances I liked the most during this episode were by the actors who played Toranaga, the half brother Sawai, or Sakai, I believe is how you pronounce his name, and Nagakato. I like the moments that they had together, especially this one scene where they're all talking as they're having dinner or kind of celebrating this alliance that they're going to form. I just kind of like that scene. And then there's a scene where the brother-in-law speaking with Nagakato there at the hot springs, and Nagakato's talking about how if he ends up dying in battle, it's going to be a beautiful death. And then to only have that final moment where he's about to lay the blow into his uncle and die the way that he does. I just love the performances by the three actors. And overall, the acting is once again fantastic in this episode. I think of the look of the episode is once again fantastic. And one of the things I like about it is that it feels real. Like when they're at the hot springs and you kind of look around at the scenery, everything looks good. I like the way that it's shot. There's a scene at the very beginning, like I said, where we see some background on Toranaga and his early battle history. I like the way that that particular scene looks, how the color is a little bit different from the rest of it. I just liked it. And then when we see Nagakato's final moments, I just like the way that it was shot. Overall, the look of the episode is fantastic. This was another extremely entertaining episode. I As I was watching it, I kept wondering to myself, how is Toranaga going to get out of this one? What is Blackthorn's role going to be throughout all of this? And what's going to happen with Lady Mariko? What's her fate going to be by the end of this? Just overall, I kept finding myself completely engaged with it. Now, was it good? Absolutely. This was an absolutely fantastic episode. Like I said, this show just keeps getting better and better each and every week, and it's obvious that it's building towards something big. I can't wait for the next episode. Now, if you're still watching this long, I'd like to thank you for sticking around. Don't forget to hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next review.